The Galactic Council chambers had never witnessed such silence. For 15 millennia, humanity had been the galaxy's peacekeepers. The steady hand that prevented wars before they ignited, the voice of reason that turned enemies into allies. Ambassador Kendall Martinez stood before the assembled representatives of 800 civilized species, her face carved from stone, her eyes holding the kind of cold fury that made stars seem warm. "You took our children," she said quietly. Each word fell like a hammer on glass. The Zintharian High Chancellor, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into rainbow patterns, shifted uncomfortably. "Ambassador Martinez, you must understand it was a calculated diplomatic action. Your species refused to share your neural enhancement technology. We needed leverage 15,000 years. That's how long humanity had maintained the Pax Galactica. When the Drevni and Sulka were on the brink of mutual annihilation, human mediators had forged a peace that lasted centuries. When the hive worlds threatened to consume the outer spiral, human strategists had orchestrated a defense that saved trillions without firing a shot. When famine struck the Corwood sectors, human agricultural fleets had fed 47 worlds for a decade, and now they had taken the children. On board the Terran flagship Horizon's Promise, Captain Roman Chen watched the diplomatic feed with clenched fists. Below decks, his Marines were already suited up, though no orders had been given. They didn't need orders. Every human in the fleet, from the newest ensign to the oldest admiral, knew what was coming. Kendall's voice continued, still terrifyingly calm. "For 15,000 years, we have bled to keep this galaxy safe. We asked for nothing in return except to be left in peace. We shared our food, our medicine, our protection. The neural enhancement technology you speak of, it's not ours to give. It's integrated into our children's developing brains from conception. You didn't just ask us to share technology. You asked us to weaponize our offspring. And when we refused," she continued, her voice dropping even lower, "you sent your Black Ops teams to Earth, to New Terra, to the colonies on Proxima's worlds. You stole 317 children while their parents slept, believing themselves safe under the protection of the very council we helped establish." The Zintharian tried to speak, but Kendall raised a hand. "I'm not finished." Roman's tactical display lit up. Human fleets were moving, not just the military vessels. Very ship humanity possessed was converging on the Council's central systems. Mining barges, colony transports, even the ancient generation ships that had first carried humans to the stars, awakened from museum orbits and crewed by volunteers. "For 15,000 years, Kendall said, you believed humanity's patience was weakness. You mistook our restraint for inability. You confused our mercy with powerlessness." She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice carried across every broadcasting channel in known space. "You forgot what we were before we became your peacemakers. On Earth, the archives were unsealed. Data streams poured into the galactic network, historical records that humanity had quietly buried when they joined the Galactic Council. Images of old Earth, of ancient wars fought with primitive but devastating weapons. Records of human history, endless cycles of conflict, innovation born from desperation, survival through calculated violence. The Council had never understood why humanity was so effective at preventing wars. They hadn't realized it was because humans understood war better than any species in the galaxy. Humanity had spent 10,000 years perfecting destruction before they ever left their solar system. They had learned every lesson written in blood, had made every mistake that could be made, had suffered through every horror that war could inflict, and then they had chosen peace. Roman received his orders. They were simple: recover the children. Collateral damage is acceptable. Kendall was still speaking. "You have 24 hours to return every child unharmed to their families. After that, the Pax Galactica ends. Not because we want it to end, but because you have made it clear that peace only exists when everyone chooses it. You cannot threaten the Council." The Zintharian declared, his form flashing with angry reds and oranges. "We are 800 species strong. You are one." "Yes," Kendall agreed. "One species that has spent 15,000 years remembering what we were capable of and choosing not to be that anymore. You've just reminded us why we were so dangerous to begin with." The human fleets dropped out of FTL simultaneously across 73 systems. They didn't fire immediately. They simply appeared, thousands of ships, surrounding every major Council world. Their weapons powered but silent, waiting. On the Council station where the children were held, Zintharian guards watched their sensors, in growing horror as human strike teams materialized from nowhere. The humans had shared their stealth technology to help Council security. The Zintharians had forgotten that humanity had kept the master keys. Roman led his team through the corridors. They moved with the precision of predators, every motion efficient, every shot calculated. They weren't here to conquer. They were here for their children. 16 hours after Kendall's ultimatum, every child was back with their families. The galaxy watched as human fleets withdrew to their own space, forming an impenetrable wall around human territory. Kendall's final message was broadcast across all frequencies. "The Pax Galactica is over. Not because we choose war, but because you chose to make peace conditional. From this day forward, humanity will protect humanity. The rest of you will have to learn to do what we did for 15,000 years. Keep yourselves safe. As the human borders closed, the galaxy began to understand what they had lost. Within months, 3 wars erupted. Within years, 17 more. The steady hand that had guided the galaxy toward cooperation was gone, withdrawn behind walls of steel and resolve. The Council had broken 15,000 years of peace. Humanity would make sure they remembered why that peace had been necessary.